Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned.
Tune to madness, dial the rage. The world's a jungle, stage by stage. Shock Monkey Radio. Feel the static, let it go. Monkey Radio. Twist the dial and lose control.
Remember, remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason, and plot. For there is a reason why gunpowder and treason should ne'er be forgot. Did you vote yesterday? I voted yesterday. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. Please go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I also have a Cash App. Use the hashtag Shock Monkey Radio, all one word. Send me money through Cash App that way. And you can follow me on social media over here. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about Guy Fawkes. We're going to heavy right off the bat, I know. It was 1605, and at that point, by that point, the religion of the King of England has changed, Protestant, Catholic, I don't know, a couple hundred years, ever since Martin Luther, there's been a big schism within the church, between Protestants and Catholics. And when a king of a certain country became Protestant or Catholic, then, the opposite, became persecuted within that state. And so over those 100 years, ever since like 1492 to Martin Luther, to after the Americas were discovered, that's when a lot of people would flee the oppression of these nations, depending upon who the king was, and who he followed. He followed the Pope or he followed the Protestant church. Then if you're if it's a Protestant king, you're a Catholic, you want to get out of that country. And by 1605, Catholics were being persecuted by James I, a Protestant Scottish guy. And so all these Catholics, they're kind of pissed off about it. And I guess the smart ones, they just got on a boat and headed west. But some people were still sticking around in England and wanted to make England, a better and safe place. And that's fine for England. But I mean, I think all the smart people left and formed a better country. And so by 1605, they got to the point where they wanted to bomb Parliament. And it wasn't really Guy Fawkes. He was just like the first guy caught and had a sharp barb during questioning. Made the king go, oh, okay, respect. That's all Guy Fawkes was. There was another guy who was like really behind the whole thing. Robert Catesby, I think. It's been a while since I read about this. And so they tried to put a whole bunch of barrels of gunpowder underneath Parliament to try to blow it up. Fortunately, the king got wind of it, and they did a thorough search of the Parliament building and found these, I don't know, something like 36 barrels of gunpowder. Like, really? And Guy Fawkes, he was just like the first guy caught, and then eventually, after torture and stuff like that, he spilled the beans on everyone else. And so, he, I don't know, and now they celebrate Guy Fawkes Day on November the 5th in England, where they burn an effigy of a traitor. That's what happens when you messed with the Protestants. You get burned. And unfortunately, all over Europe, that kind of thing was happening, where people were just like, I'm a Protestant king or I'm a Catholic king. We're going to go and, we want to kick the Protestants out, or we want to kick the Catholics out, and so forth. And so a lot of people got on boats and headed west. And they formed what was called the New World at the time and eventually became the United States of America. Now, I'm a Protestant myself, and having grown up in America, I don't want to kill any Catholics. I can make fun of them all day long for listening to their huge-hatted king. I can make fun of them, and it's like, confessional, point that out to me in the Bible. I can do stuff like that all day long, But I don't want to kick them out of the country. I don't want to kill them. Because we came to this country, and when Thomas Jefferson penned the words, of the First Amendment, I believe it was Jefferson who did that. In the First Amendment, it says, the Congress makes no law respecting an establishment of religion. And the reason why he did that is because of all the strife that had been happening over the last 200, 300 years in Europe, where, you know, a Catholic government would start persecuting, Protestants. Whew, tongue twister. And so when he penned those words, that's what he was thinking of. Thomas Jefferson, you know, in the First Amendment, when Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, which doesn't necessarily mean that all religions are welcome in the United States. Just point that out. It just means that the government shouldn't like say, okay, we are an Islamic government now. All right. That's what that means. And certainly these men were aware of Islam in the world, and it was so far away at the time that they really didn't consider it a threat. There were so few Muslims inside the United States, you know, at the time. You know, there were so few that it didn't matter in the least. So it wasn't a concern at that time. However, a few years after the American Revolution, Thomas Jefferson was dealing with the whole issue of the Barbary Pirates who were raiding coastal towns all over Europe. They were hijacking American and British ships and so forth. They were now an ally with the British until 1812. There was still tension, I suppose, in between. But they were, you know, these Muslim pirates were, you know, attacking American ships, killing the men and taking the women into sexual slavery. And so Thomas Jefferson had to go over there and said, why are you doing this to our people? And they said, well, you know, according to the Quran, you're not really human beings and we can do whatever we want to you because convert or die. And that's how Islam works. And so Thomas Jefferson, he probably came back home and was probably thinking like, hey, you know, that thing about religion, you know, not all religions are compatible with our ideas. You know, I mean, sure, the Catholics and the Protestants had been in each other's throats for hundreds of years, but we solved that problem with the United States. The problem is people like the Sunni and the Shia, who are Muslims, and they're different factions of the same religion that have been at each other's throats for a long time. It's the reason why Iran and Iraq are constantly at each other's throats. You know. And unfortunately, all sorts of Islamic involvement in any kind of government or religion and so forth, is going to end up as a convert or die kind of thing. It's going to turn into a caliphate, and that's why people are dying in Nigeria. Christians are being persecuted everywhere on the planet. You know, we had a rough election, and the Democrats, you know, won New York, they won Virginia. I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. I feel like I need to get on a boat and head west, you know, find greener pasture somewhere where the totalitarians can't reach me. And that was the whole idea of the American Revolution, was that these totalitarians, these crazy tyrants over in Europe, you know, they were making all these rules. They're flip-flopping. Like I think, what was it? Henry, the last Henry was a Catholic, I think. And then James I was a Protestant. And so it like flipped. And so all of a sudden, the other team was on the run. And that's why the Americas were populated with so many Scottish, Irish, and English people. And you want to remember the 5th of November, you know, you're talking about terrorism. You know, you're talking about a vigilante activity. It's terrorism. And I never liked the whole anonymous thing, because the anonymous thing turned into the Antifa thing. And so I think about Antifa, how they're a terrorist organization, and I think that they don't see themselves as the villains that they are. They see themselves as superheroes, you know, as the revolutionaries who are trying to stop the government. No one thinks of themselves as the bad guy. I'm the bad guy, you know. No, maybe I'm the good guy. I don't know. And so the whole Guy Fawkes thing is kind of misunderstood in many ways, and so. Revolution is not the thing. It's not like I'm being hunted yet. You know, granted, you know, Charlie Kirk was killed and other people have been facing, you know, that other similar types of threats and so forth. And, you know, people are getting real, I don't know, at each other's throats about it. And I just kind of feel like I need to move further west. Now go west, young man. And if you're in New York and you're about to have a socialist Muslim running your country, running your state, running your city, excuse me, I'll get to it. You need to consider going west too, going somewhere else, you know. And that was the whole issue of like leaving Europe and coming to the United States and form this new perfect union. You know, the whole idea behind it was because it was so crappy back there. because they couldn't get their stuff together and they didn't, and they're persecuting people. And the persecution now has become, oh, we hate white men. We hate conservatives. That's the persecution now. So you need to probably find greener pastures further west. Anyway, it's just that, I feel like I need to move because it's going to get crazy here on the East Coast. Anyway, enough of getting heavy. Have you become a patron yet? Or you're like, oh my God, this guy's getting real heavy. A history lesson? Oh man. I don't know. It's like, you guys remember history? I remember history. Hey, what's up, Mo? Yeah, okay. I was wondering why I haven't seen you in the casino. I was like, did I piss him off? It's like his payments keep coming, so I guess not. Thank you, bro. All right, let's cheer it up a little bit. It's a good thing. It's a very special thing to have really good friends in your life. Because I was on the phone with EK the other day, and we're just chatting, gossiping, actually. We're gossiping. A friend of ours, you hear about our friend of ours? It's that kind of thing. And I kind of let out this sigh, and he goes, what's up, man? It's like, I'm watching this Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, and there's a scene with Darla and these unicorns popping up. And the unicorns are terrifying. You know what I mean? They're just terrifying. You can pull up the picture, man. And they're everything they should be. They're terrifying, and you shouldn't like them, and you should think, oh, as soon as I see them, I say, Marvel family, kill! That's my impulse. But no, Darla feeds the damn thing Skittles. And I'm upset, I'm telling EK about this. It's like, because, I like Skittles and stuff. And EK was like, oh, man, are you pissed off that you have something in common with unicorns? And I was like, yeah, man. It's like, I like Skittles. And he's like, oh, buddy. Oh, man. That's product placement, man. That's all that is. Unicorns aren't real. And I felt better. It's silly, I know, but I felt better. And it's good to have a friend in your life to say, oh, buddy, they're just trying to sell Skittles. And then I thought back to the rest of the movie. It's like, oh, yeah, Skittles were everywhere, And so I felt a little better. So thank you, EK, for being such a good friend who knows how to communicate with me. It's like you watch that whole film, and that's the one thing that bothered you the most. It's like, yeah, not Renee Zellweger. Okay, all right. But here's the thing: it's like, first of all, like Darla is hands down my favorite character in those two movies. And Freddy's a close second, but Darla hands down is my favorite character. And I was thinking about this because there's another scene involving Skittles where they captured that one daughter of Atlas, put her in the prison cell, and Darla's in the other room separating Skittles, right? And so she takes this bowl of yellow Skittles to their captive, right? And she's as she's walking in, she discovers that the captive is missing. But as she's walking in, she's like, well, I believe in treating people fairly, but since you've been bad, you can only have yellow Skittles. Because you've been bad, but she was gone. So she went through the trouble of sorting all these Skittles while the lady escaped, and I don't know. I love that kind of innocence of the character, but Darla, you shouldn't, when a unicorn is charging at you, everyone needs to pay attention to what I'm about to say. If a unicorn is charging at you, do not, I repeat, do not stand your ground and throw Skittles at it. I feel like that's my public service announcement for the week. How do you like this leafy background? Yeah, it's that time of year. I mean, I love the leaves. The yellows and the oranges and reds. Autumn is my favorite time of year. It's also a good time of year because it starts to get cold at night and you can have campfires and bonfires out back. And if you want to tell some scary stories, I'm the kind of guy who likes scary stories. I'm going to review a horror movie later. But so I mean, if you wanted to hear some scary campfire stories, I have some. You could tell the story of this guy, Big Red, He bought a guitar from this epileptic kid. You know, he was about to buy this guitar. It was I could take it or leave it. I don't think he has access to the notes. Okay, anyway, because we got that news story at the end that it's like, what do you know? Did you hack in? Anyway, yeah. So Big Red, he bought this guitar. It was a Gibson. What was it? Gibson Les Paul, like 1958 or something like that. It was a beautiful guitar, yellow sunburst, and he bought it off this kid who had like an epileptic seizure, and he said something about the guitar. Like he was like practicing with the amp, and the amp like fried, and he got electrocuted. And ever since then, he's been an epileptic. And then Big Red took it home and gave the guitar as a gift to his brother, who plays guitar. And Big Red plays drums, and they're in a band, and they're at a gig New Year's Eve, and the guitar malfunctioned somehow and electrocuted his brother, Big Red's brother, and he died. And then Big Red burnt the guitar. But the epileptic guy who bought it, he bought it from a guy who restores guitars that worked at like a local mom and pop like music store, and he said he found it in like picking through the remains of a fire. It was like wrapped up in several blankets and stuff like that. It was all burnt up and stuff like that, but it was lighter and it had like a char to it, and I don't know. It just I don't know. Those heavy, because those 58 guitars, they're pretty heavy, but I mean, it was lighter. And so he refurbished it, repainted it, and, you know, lacquer and everything, new frets, everything. And that's where the guy who got shocked with the amp, you know, bought it. And that's a scary story. You can all find it in my books called the Exit 13 series. It all begins at Exit 13, Keep Right. There's also the one where this guy has a possessed girlfriend. Like he wakes up in the middle of the night and she's like, "You're going to pay. You're going to pay Daniel." And he's like, "No, my name's Simon, baby. You're going to pay Daniel for what you did to our boys." So she charges at him, tries to stab him with a plastic fork from the takeout food they had in this hotel. And he has to wrestle her and hold her down until the spirit leaves her. And so they end up like falling asleep on top of each other. He falls asleep on top of her, and then wake up in the morning and his girlfriend's back, Cindy. And they're in love. And he loves her. He loves her to pieces. And then later, you plug it in, yeah, the battery. Yeah. And then later, he wakes up in the morning and he sees Cindy outside with a bunch of cops pointing, "That's the man, sir. That's the man who kidnapped me." And so he gets arrested. Simon gets arrested because all of a sudden Cindy is professing that she was kidnapped. But at the same time, she's talking to all these people that she ran to and was talking to. It's like, "Yeah, I could speak to your loved one. I know where your loved ones are. I could talk to them." So Simon gets arrested and goes to prison for like a year. He gets out and he starts looking for Cindy. Cindy has since opened up a psychic medium shop where people come in and like will speak to their dead loved ones and stuff like that. And she'll peer into their future. So he comes into the waiting room, sunglasses and a hoodie, waiting to see Cindy. Cindy comes out with the customer, says, "You have a good day. Thank you so much for the money." And Simon just jumps up and stun guns her. Just she falls to the ground, stun guns her again. She's like, "Simon, stop. And that's what he has to do to get the woman he loves back. So there's a story like that in there. There's also a story about witches that just all of a sudden decide to hate on a random pizza delivery guy because he made a stupid joke, you know? And some other witch played a joke on, like he ran over a witch on a delivery and he didn't know it was a witch, but she just like grabbed him and told him, "You got to unbind the dolls. You got to unbind the dolls." So he ends up like wandering into her house. She gave him a house key. And so he goes into the house and finds this doll that's wrapped up in yarn. And so he just tears the yarn off and leaves the doll there. But she said something like there's 7 dolls or something like that. So he starts looking around curio shops, looking for these bound dolls, finds a couple, but along the way meets a couple of witches, you know, who start to think that he's some sort of warlock, the enemy of witches, you know, the male witch. And so they start messing with him and stabbing him a few times. And there's also the kid who got hit by a car. You know, I know this story. The kid got hit by a car. He died. but he was kind of locked in place, and time started moving backwards. And he's watching, you know, as he rides the bike backwards away from where he died, and as he follows him, you know, he went over there, you know, I could see moving back there, and but he couldn't move. He's just sitting there watching everything from at the spot he died. But later that night, or earlier, I should say, later the previous night, there was a thunderstorm, and as the electricity started filling the air, he could start moving between every bolt of lightning. And so every bolt of lightning, he's moving towards his home, where he comes and finally gets into his home through a wall, stares at his body, and then jumps back into his body, and he's back alive. And from that point on, he sees dead people. Yeah, I see dead people. But they move backwards through time. Anyway, just some scary campfire stories you could check out that I wrote. Exit 13, Keep Right is the beginning. There's also Merge and Blind Corner. Just a couple of short stories that I never really made any money on. You know, I make more money doing this than I ever did writing. And so, I mean, when I first started writing the Exit 13 series, I was like, I could keep doing this forever. You know, I like writing these stories. But, you know, it's just not profitable. It's better for me to write for this show. So in many ways, I kind of just leave them up there and I make them for free. And I like, hey, if anyone else wants to add to this story, go right ahead. I don't know if you have to get like legal. You have to ask me like legally with a notary public or something like that. I don't know. But go ahead. Use them. Use them as a beginning for your campfire stories. Or better yet, you know, you download them and like feed them into AI. So feed out. Someone has said I should do that. It's like feed the stories into AI and like have it crank out more books. And I was like, nah. Because I know AI is not going to go where I want to go with it. Anyway. Just some scary campfire stories. All right. Ooh, we got 22 after. May have to rush through the news. Because I figured out why I dislike Harley Quinn. I figured it out. I was watching, it was one of the animated ones. I think it was Hush. And I was like, and it's been a while since I've seen the animated series version of Harley Quinn, because when Harley Quinn is introduced in the animated series, Batman the Animated Series, that's when I started to, I don't really want to watch this. You know, because Harley Quinn really turned me off. She was created in the animated series. She was never in the comic books until after the animated series. And then, you know, the Suicide Squad movie came out and she ends up looking like this. Granted, wood, but clearly a woman who dresses like that is very damaged. And don't think we don't notice how many women dress like this at Halloween. All right. Specifically when it comes to the animated series version of Harley Quinn, there's the whole, okay, Mr. J. You know, there's the, oh, pudding. You know, there's this real, how could I put this, like under 18 vibe to Harley Quinn. Even when you talk about the Suicide Squad movie with this t-shirt, Daddy's Little Monster, there's a real like under 18 type of vibe when it comes to Harley Quinn. And I think I figured out that's why I always disliked her, is because there's always this kind of appeal to the pedophiles out there, you know. I'm just a little girl infatuated with the Joker, you know, kind of thing about it. And it's off-putting, to say the least. And what's funny is, like, apparently she's some sort of psychiatrist. You know, it's funny because you think about like all the crazy psychiatrists that live in Gotham. You know, it makes you wonder what's going on in Gotham. You know, where all the psychiatrists end up going crazy. You know, so I just wanted to put that out there that Harley Quinn, don't like you. The actress who plays you, we could have a conversation. Those are fake tattoos, right? Don't they have like the fake tattoo, like leotards they can put on or whatever? I want to get some of those. Those can't be too expensive, right? If I wear like a fake like sleeve work and like get laid that night, I'll be incredibly pissed off. Because it's getting to the point where having no tattoos is the new tattoo. I got no tattoos. All right, let's do a movie review and then we'll get into the news. Speed run the news if we have to. So it's the scary season, end of the scary season. So let's properly end the scary season with a crappy, like terrible horror movie. And it's not gory, so you could watch this, EK. Sorry, it's not as good as Friday the 13th, but there's no gore. There's nothing really too scary about it. How can I put this? It is the most killable group of idiots staying in the most stalkable house ever. All right, and they spared no expense on the budget. It must have been like $2,000 to shoot this entire film. And so, so it's a story about these kids, like New York kids, obviously rich kids if you're living in New York, you know, and they're taking a trip out to the country. They got their aunt somewhere out, and it's always in the middle of nowhere, no cell service and all that stuff like that. Apparently, like 1 day drive from New York City is somewhere without cell service. I guess that's possible. Anyway. Yeah, and so they go into this vacation home to celebrate a birthday, one of their friends, her 21st birthday. They're going to party, you know, just a bunch of teenagers having fun. But on the way, this van stalks them. It's a real joyride kind of vibe, you know, which is another horror movie, a better horror movie that they ripped off. And it's stalking them. And there's always that jackass in some of these movies nowadays where it's like, I got a real expensive camera, so I'm going to put it in everyone's face. It's even like the Paranormal Activity movies where like there's so much screen time wasted on get that out of my face. It's enough with the camera, you know, stuff like that. You know, it's like so much of it. Because if you do like a reality thing, if you're in like a dangerous situation, it's like this guy's stalking us, get the freaking camera out of my face. And the cameraman in every one of these things, he's always real interested in the art, real interested in the craft, and you're just like, you're clear. If you want to be a documentarian, that means you have absolutely no imagination, and that's why this movie is terrible. Is because it was written, directed probably by a documentarian, because it's terrible. All right, and so these kids, they have like no compass, they have like one map, and they have to like pool their intelligence in order to figure it out. And that's just to get to the place they're going to. But at the same time, they're getting stalked by this van. All right. And so they finally get to the house and like, yay, we're at the house. But the power's not working. There's a creepy knock at the door. Who is it? It's Aunt Gail. Aunt Gail shows up. Hey, we had some work done. And so we forgot to turn the power back on. So I got to go turn the power back on for you. Boom, the lights come back on. Yay. Hey, Aunt Gail, how come there's not a single set of curtains in this entire house? There is not one set of curtains. Look at all these windows, Aunt Gail. How come there's not one set of curtains in this entire house? Well, it's a winter home. Well, it's not always winter. You know, curtains are good even in winter. All right. But apparently this is the most stupid group of teenagers I've ever seen. No weapons, no compass, no real brains between them. You got 3 kind of cute chicks and their 2 beta male friends. All right. And they're getting stalked by this van. And then they get to the house, right? And then hey, it's a birthday party. They have a birthday party and they have some drinks and they have some fun. And the next day they're like, hey, let's go down and do some spelunking. I know this cave system down there. I got these great big lights. Let's go find these caves and explore them. And they talk everybody into going. And then they get lost in the woods in the second act. They get lost in the woods. And then you're all of a sudden, oh, they're stealing from Blair Witch Project. Now they're just arguing. It's dark. And they're like, what's that over there? Run! And then the end of the second act, they find their house. It seriously felt like a week-long vacation that cost about $2,000. And this is like, it's like, oh, we need something for the second act. Let's do Blair Witch Project. Let's go wander around the woods and film ourselves getting angry with each other. And then that came back to like a VHS / Joyride ending where in the third act where the guy who was in the van shows up again and leaves a VHS tape at the door and they watch it and he's clearly been stalking and then blah, blah, blah. It is terrible. It is terrible. And it's not even the acting. The acting is okay. You know, I understand these, amateurs and so forth. And even the directing is okay. The cinematography is okay. But the plot is absurd and like seems hastily slapped together. And when stuff like that happens, it pulls you out of it. I understand that you understand I can watch a movie where there's this guy who haunts people's dreams. Okay. It can make it manifest in real life. I can buy the logic of that. But when the first act is, oh, this is very similar to Joyride, and then all of a sudden we stop the Joyride plot. Now we're going to do a Blair Witch plot. Now we're going to forget the Blair Witch plot. We're going back to the original, but we're going to throw some VHS in it. And it's like, it just takes you out of it because I could see the horrible writing. I could see it. It's almost like when they're talking, I can hear the grammatical, not the grammatical, the punctuation errors in the script. You know what I mean? So when it comes to evil things, 2009 movie, I don't do this often, but it deserves 1 of 13 stars. The evil things are what this director and writer are doing to you as you watch the movie. Those are the real evil things. All right, let's get to the news worth knowing. Some people are like, you romanticize Friday the 13th a little. I was like, what, really? I thought I kind of went off on it. All right. Well, so like I said, it's been a horrible election day for us in Virginia. Democrats won. So Trump says election results not good for Republicans, citing 2 possible reasons. All right. Let's see what he says. Donald Trump said on Wednesday morning that the ongoing government shutdown is partly to blame for the Republican losses on Election Day, because obviously it's the Republicans who are holding this up. So Trump told reporters during breakfast with GOP lawmakers at the White House, jeepers creepers. You imagine you wake up and you have to have breakfast with the frickin' press? Ugh. I do not envy that job. That's the thing with if you become so rich, like Donald Trump rich, you got to be thinking, I'm bored shitless. Let's give politics a try. And that's the only reason you'd want to go into that business, because it seems like a nightmare. So at breakfast at the White House, he said it was not expected to be a victory on Tuesday. He's saying the 36-day government shutdown was 1 of 2 possible reasons. I think if you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, Trump said. Negative for the Republicans, and that was a big factor. He added, and they say that I wasn't on the ballot, and that was the biggest factor, but I don't know about that. But I was honored that they'd say that. His remark came after Democrats won resoundingly in multiple states on Tuesday, with exit polls showing economic worries very much on the minds of voters. I don't think it was good for Republicans, he said, after the election results. I don't think it's good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody. Some of the major losses for Republicans include New York City mayoral race and contests for governor in New Jersey and Virginia. Democrats also secured another expected win in California, where voters approved a new congressional map that is designed to help their party win 5 more U.S. House seats in next year's midterm elections. On the morning following the defeats, Trump called on lawmakers to bring the 36-day government shutdown to a close. We must get the government open, Trump said. Trump said going on to push Republican senators to end the filibuster. The filibuster or end their filibuster? It's time for the Republicans to do. See, I don't know if we should do that. If they're talking about getting rid of the filibuster. That's something I'm wishy-washy on. I would think that, the problem here, overall problem here, is that for some reason the media has convinced the public that the shutdown is the Republicans' fault. But the Republicans are like, no, we're not giving health care to illegal immigrants. It seems pretty basic to me. All right, so I don't know why the public thinks that. I think it's because the public is stupid. They're concerned about prices and so forth. The SNAP went out and so forth. I get it. But we've seen the people who get SNAP, and I think that we need to get rid of that. And if you get rid of SNAP and you get rid of welfare and you get rid of all these entitlements and you get rid of them, just get rid of them. Do you have any idea how that's going to cause prices everywhere to go down? Everywhere will go down because because your money will have more value because it's not being given away to people. I don't know. I'm no economics major, but I know that that's true. All right. Let's go on to the next story. Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't really trust the guy. I don't trust guys who aren't Christian. Ramaswamy lists key lessons after GOP electoral blowout. We got our asses handed to us. This is why I made the news. He swore. He used the ass word. Following the night of Democratic electoral victories in New York, Virginia, New Jersey, California, and elsewhere, one-time GOP presidential candidate and former DOJ chief Vivek Ramaswamy admitted we got our asses handed to us. Ramaswamy, who's running for Ohio governor, said there are two key lessons for the Republicans to take away from the election day blowout. Again, he said, we got our asses handed to us in New Jersey, Virginia, and New York City. Democrats swept all three. There's two key lessons for Republicans. Listen carefully. He went, okay. In the light of GOP's crushing... What? Listen carefully, he went on. Now you put a paragraph in here? Okay. In light of the GOP's crushing defeats on Tuesday night, Ramaswamy said the Republicans need to focus on messaging on affordability and avoid playing into identity politics. I don't think we have been. I think we're kind of done with the identity politics here on the right. All right. Our side needs to focus on affordability, make the American dream affordable, bring down costs, electric costs, grocery costs, healthcare costs, and housing costs, and lay out how we're going to do it. Yeah, here's how you do it, Vivek. You get rid of the entitlements. You get rid of SNAP. All right? That's going to cause all the prices to go down. That's going to cause healthcare prices to go down. It's going to cause everything to go down. It seemed... Anyway. All right, number two, cut out the identity politics. It doesn't see who is doing that. You know, we don't care about the color of your skin or religion. We care about the content of your character, and that's who we are. Obviously, that's who we've always been. Anyway, let's go on to the next story. Moving right along. I want to save some time for the funny ones because I could take it or leave it. All right, AOC says Trump stopped MTG's potential Senate run, sparking her revenge tour against the GOP. All right, so a little bit of gossip. AOC spilling the tea. So Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat from New York, claimed Monday President Donald Trump blocked Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's Republican from Georgia from running Georgia's Senate seat next year, a move which prompted Greene's ongoing revenge tour against the GOP. Ocasio-Cortez made the comments during an Instagram live stream, telling her followers, here's some tea for you. MTG, people are like, oh my God, she's saying all these things. Like, what has gotten into her lately? Oh, like, she's bucking against Trump. She's bucking against the administration. Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate in Georgia. She wanted to run for Senate earlier this year in the state of Georgia. She wanted to be Republican nominee for Senate. Wow, you said the same sentence 3 times. So she was gearing up for that statewide race, and Trump told her no. She continued. Trump said no, and the White House and Trump land shut down Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal ambitions to run for Senate, and she has been on a revenge tour ever since. And that's what she did on the live stream. She went, can you believe it? Greene said in May that she would not seek Georgia Senate seat next year, opting against a challenge to Democrat Senator John Ossoff. Republicans are targeting Ossoff's seat as one of their best pickup opportunities in 2026. This is a quote, even with a few good Republicans in the Senate, nothing changes, Greene wrote on X at the time. So no, John Ossoff isn't the real problem. He's just a vote, a pawn. No different than the uniparty Republicans who skipped key votes to attend fundraisers and let our agenda fail. In recent weeks, Greene has stepped up the criticism of GOP leadership, taking aim at the party's approach to health care and ongoing government shutdown, even as Republicans control both Congress and the White House. She has also broken from her party in foreign policy, calling Israel's military campaign in Gaza a genocide and a humanitarian crisis. Okay, so she lost her mind. All right. And I think we always kind of knew that. And so if Trump is the de facto head of the Republican Party, then every decision about like Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to run for Senate, and it'll probably go up to Trump, and he says, that's a bad call. That bitch is crazy. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, she is a little nuts. And I want to be clear about this. I know I have female patrons, but policing, that's a man's job. You know, being a cop, you need to be strong and like physically wrestle a person. I don't want a woman who's going to be quicker to draw her pistol because if she is like outmatched in terms of strength. All right. Women shouldn't be cops. Women shouldn't be soldiers. They can certainly serve as, rear echelon positions, administration and so forth. Like they can still be in the military, but they shouldn't be in combat positions. All right. And women shouldn't be in politics. Sorry. First of all, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, regardless of your political affiliation. Marjorie Taylor Greene, if that happened to her, she's just too spiteful. She's mad that she didn't she wanted the political ambitions, because you get into this kind of job. You want to go all the way, right? You want to get to the top chair, right? And if you say it's Donald Trump says, no, Marjorie, you're just too fucking nuts to go any further than wherever you've gone. And so she, because she's a woman, she's spiteful and is like, I can't believe that guy. So she has no business in the business. No business in the business. And the same with AOC, who feels a need to gossip about it on Instagram. All right. I understand that a lot of politicians go out on Instagram. But if you read what that quote that I had, she's just gossiping about Congress. And she thinks that's her friggin' job. And I'm sorry. Women have a very difficult time. I won't say are incapable. I say they have a very difficult time extracting emotion from any decision they make. And like any decision. And that's great. That's perfect. That's how God designed you. But it's not for the halls of Congress. It's not for the streets fighting off perps. It's not for the battlefield fighting the enemy. The reason you're designed that way is so that you can stay at home, submit to your husband, bear his children, raise his children, and care for his home. That's how families have worked since the beginning of time. All right. Like, seriously, sending women into combat or putting women on the streets as police officers, that's an incredibly new concept. We shouldn't be doing it. All right. Same with politics. Anyway, let's go on to this next weird story. Abbott vows to impose a 100% tariff on anyone moving from New York City to Texas after Election Day. Doesn't this seem like opposite? Like this is the opposite. Like maybe they got the name wrong. Like Mom Donnie vows to impose it. Oh, God. Doesn't it seem wrong? All right. So Texas Governor Greg Abbott said he will impose a steep tariff on New Yorkers moving to his state after voting on Election Day ends. Abbott, a Republican, made the announcement Monday, a day before New Yorkers headed to the polls to choose a new mayor, which has been closely watched race between the Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani, a socialist, and former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Sliwa doesn't even get an honorable mention. Because the Republican establishment is pissed off that Sliwa didn't drop out. Because even Ben Shapiro was like, vote for Andrew Cuomo. Get bent, Ben Shapiro. If I were a New Yorker, I'm voting for Curtis Sliwa. There's nothing you could do to make me vote for that piece of shit. I understand he was like, oh, it's better than Mamdani. He's like, sorry, my vote would go for Curtis Sliwa, hands down, and I'm leaving the damn state. I'm going west, young man. Go west. Anyway, so Fox News Digital has reached out to Abbott's office for comment. The power to impose tariffs falls under the federal government's authority, not the states. The New York City mayoral race is one of the most anticipated contests of the year. President Donald Trump has endorsed Cuomo, who is running as an independent. On Monday, Trump said he was likely to halt federal funds, aside from the minimum required to New York if Mamdani is elected. It can only get worse with communism with a communist at the helm. I don't want to send, as president, good money after bad, he wrote on Truth Social. It is my obligation to run the nation. It is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic social disaster should Mamdani win. Trump said he'd rather see a Democrat with a record of success than Mamdani, a former state assemblyman. Trump went on to say he was nothing but as an assemblyman, ranked at the bottom of the class, and as mayor of potentially again the greatest city in the world, he has no chance to bring it back to its former glory. Yeah, I don't think Cuomo does either, man. So, I think New York is screwed. Gavin McInnes, get out. Sean Goggins, get out. All my friends around there, that's about it. They're not even really friends. Anyway. All right. Let's do these 2 stories and then we'll run on out of here. 2 happier stories. I could take it or leave it. All right. Woman's bad review backfires after restaurant's hilarious leaf lesson stuns the internet. This is funny because nobody, like almost nobody, knows how to cook anymore. Anyway, so a woman blasted a restaurant in a bad review after finding a leaf in her baked beans. And then the eatery went viral for its polite but cheeky response that offered a quick culinary lesson that sparked a heated debate online. I ate here for the first time tonight. Woman wrote in a review for an unidentified restaurant. The brisket was probably the best I've ever had, but found an entire leaf in my baked beans. I cannot make this up, she added with a vomiting emoji. The restaurant sent a spicy response addressing the 2-star review, according to a screenshot posted on subreddit rfunny earlier this week. So we're glad to hear you enjoyed the brisket, the reply began. I'm guessing you've never seen bay leaves in your food before? Referring to the dried aromatic leaves from the bay laurel tree commonly used to flavor soups, stews, and sauces. If you see them in the future, you can rest assured that it is a sign that someone spent time and effort cooking your food from scratch. We pride ourselves on making everything fresh in-house, no cans ever. So you'll find unique spice blends and herbs being used in our food. That includes bay leaves. Many internet users found the closing line of the response the most humorous. Again, I am glad you enjoyed the brisket, and I'm sorry the leaf surprised you. Majority of Redditors joked on the post, which garnered nearly 2,000 comments and more than 76,000 upvotes, that the reviewer must only eat processed or drive-through food. Some people have never cooked anything without a microwave, and it shows, one person said. What, did you think they took the pop outside to enjoy the sunshine and a leaf fell in? What other option is there than, oh, this must be an herb or something? Waiter, there's food in my food, someone joked. I wonder how this person feels about salad. And here's one from Mo. I can't bay leaf this. And then we're done. We're done with this story. One pun too many. All right, last one, and then we'll get out of here. Hey, maybe a shorter show today, but a lot of monkey stories lately. Escaped monkey captured by authorities days after a truck crash flips vehicle in Mississippi. That's a cumbersome headline. Escaped monkey captured after truck flip. After flipped truck in Mississippi. I don't know. It's almost like they're trying to cram too much into the headline. Anyway, editor Madman's gone. All right, homeowner discovered primate on property near Heidelberg as authorities continue to search for 2 others. Imagine you wake up in the morning, you look out your window, and you see a monkey out there. You'd rub your eyes, right? It's like they do in all the movies. They'll look in their coffee cup, you know. What's going on? What have I been drinking? Yeah, you double take, triple take that. So one of 3 monkeys that escaped after a truck hauling 21 of the animals from Tulane University in New Orleans flipped on a Mississippi interstate has been found. According to authorities, the animal was captured several days after the crash. The Jasper County Sheriff's Office announced the recovery on Sunday in a Facebook post. A homeowner on Highway 503 near Heidelberg found one of the monkeys on their property this morning. The post said that the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks responded, and the monkey is now in their possession. We have no further details at the moment. The monkeys are part of a controversial National Institutes of Health funded program, according to the White Coat Waste Project, a nonprofit that campaigns on government-funded animal testing. Okay. The sheriff's office said it eliminated 5 of the 40-pound monkeys after the crash. Authorities said the truck drivers initially warned that the primates were dangerous and required protective gear to handle. I don't know if you know this, but primates are dangerous. They are. Even 40-pound ones could rip off your nose, your face, break a finger. You know, that's why they need protective gear. You know, I'm a primate. I'm dangerous. Primates are dangerous. And so that's why whenever I see especially like in Friends, you know, how many laws? I think I did a video on this. It's like, how many laws are you breaking, Ross, by having a monkey in New York City? What if he escapes? Anyway, incredibly disgusting creatures. It's like, and so I understand that there are these organizations that are like, hey, you know, we should protect the monkeys and we shouldn't use animal testing on primates. After all, they're like our cousins. Yeah, that's why they're really good test subjects, because they're so genetically similar to human beings. All right. Yeah, it's sad, but it's better for humanity and in general the whole world that we do this kind of testing. Plus, you don't want monkeys running around Mississippi. Or anywhere, really. I mean, it's because what if, for example, it's like two are still out there. What if they're male and female? You know what I mean? And you got like a Planet of the Apes situation, only with like smaller. Planet of the Monkeys. All right. What else the story says? Official said that 13 of the monkeys. 13 monkeys? The army of the 13 monkeys remained caged, wrecked north of Heidelberg, and are now back with their owner, who is transporting them to their intended destination. Heidelberg? Is Mississippi next to Holland now? What the hell? Oh, one more paragraph. Here we go. Authorities did not release the owner's identities of the monkey's original destination, citing confidentiality agreements. You know why they have those, right? Because these hippie protesters will get a hold of it and do some terrorist action. Tulane University said moving research animals is routine, but governed by strict confidentiality. See, I should read the rest of the article before I comment on it. Confidentiality agreements to protect the animal's safety and the party's proprietary information. Mississippi Highway Patrol, Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, and local law enforcement are investigating the incident. I wonder if, like, it's probably just to be on a lookout for the Highway Patrol. Be on the lookout for monkeys. What are the monkeys wearing? The black male, white male, what are we talking about? Hispanic male? They're monkeys. Yeah, what skin color? It's like, you're a dumb cop. And so, monkeys are dangerous. Monkeys are dangerous. I want to make that clear. Yeah, this is going to be the end of the show. Okay. Sorry, everybody. A brain fart there at the end. I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate it. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. Send me money that way. Follow me on social media over here at DNALETSAW. That's the word wasteland, spelled backwards, on Twitter. At SLRobbins13 on Instagram. And Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman. And I love you.